Good morning, Year 6. Happy Tuesday. I hope that you all had a good day yesterday and that you are raring to go today. I'm going to continue our story of Oliver Twist. As we've learnt so far about Oliver, he was an orphan in the Victorian era who was sent to the workhouse to work and to live. He was, in the last chapter, we learned that he was bought by Mr. Sowerberry, who is an undertaker, and he was bought to go and work with him and to live there. And we left him as he tried to get some sleep amongst all the coffins around him. So I'm going to start with chapter 3 today. It's titled "In Which Oliver Pays His Respects to the Dead." So here we go. Oliver was woken next morning by frantic kicking at the undertaker's shop door. Hurrying to unlock it, he opened the door to a big, ugly, ragged boy. "Did you want a coffin, sir?" he asked timidly. "Don't know who I am, do you?" said Noah Claypole, banging him on the head and pushing past into the shop. "You must be the new boy." All his life, Noah Claypole had been teased and taunted by other boys who called him Noah Nobody and Mr. Rags and the Coffin Nail. Now, finding a boy even more helpless than himself, Noah got his own back. Whenever Mr. Sowerberry was out of the room, Noah Claypole would punch, kick and jeer at Oliver. But to Noah's fury and disgust, Oliver was actually a success. Mr. Sowerberry gave him a tall black hat, a long black hat band, and had him lead the funeral processions of tiny children to the graveyard. The sight of this tiny white-faced boy, tears glittering in his blue eyes, brought a gasp or a sigh from everyone who saw it, and businesses did very nicely. Thanks to an outbreak of measles, there was plenty of work too that autumn for Oliver and his black hat. Once, after a particularly handsome funeral, Mr. Sowerberry gave Oliver a penny and told him he had done well. Noah Claypole searched his small brain for some new way of tormenting Oliver. The picture I've got in my book. Twist? What kind of a name is that then? He began at supper time. They shared the only daily ration food. That is to say, Noah ate the meat and Oliver was left just to eat the bones. "Tell us about yourself. Where's your mother?" "My mother's dead," said Oliver with surprising heat. "Don't talk about her." Noah knew at once what would hurt Oliver the most. "Just as well she's dead, ain't it? Or she'll be hanged or locked up by now. I heard tell she was thoroughly bad sort." "Don't you say anything against my mother," said Oliver, overturning his bowl as he jumped to his feet. Noah smirked and spread his hands. "I was just saying I'm very sorry for you, being born to a mother like that, what with her thieving and her drinking and her—" "Oi!" Oliver hurled himself across the table and, mustering all his strength, heaved a blow at Noah, then another, then another, then another. "Oi! Oi! Help! Get him off me! Oliver's killing me! Help!" Snivelled Noah, curling himself up into a ball on the kitchen floor as Oliver punched and pummeled him, yelling, "Take that back! Take that back now!" The noise brought Mr. Sowerberry and the scullery maid rushing in. They shrieked at the sight of little Oliver hammering away at the huge lump in Noah. "Law, he's gone mad! The boy's gone mad! We'll all be murdered where we stand. Poor little Noah, stop it, you murderous little villain." They tried to pull Oliver away, but he was lost in a red fog of rage, and he struggled and lashed out and went on bellowing, "Take it back! Take it back!" Somehow, the three of them scratched, slapped and kicked Oliver until they could pull him upright. Then they bundled him into the coal hole, slammed the door and shot the bolt. Oliver, still boiling with outrage, kicked at the coal hole door with both feet and kept on kicking long after Noah had stopped whimpering. A scared corner of Oliver's soul had been invaded, and despite his cramped, choking prison, meek little Oliver twist ragged on behalf of his wronged mother. When Mr. Sowerberry came home, the bang banging was still loud in the kitchen, and Noah Claypole was still whining. Mr. Bumble was sent for because beadles know what to do with mad boys, and arrived puffing and blowing and wielding his long stick. "It's meat, Mr. Sowerberry, he declared. "You have been feeding him meat, and that's what comes of it." Finally, Oliver was taken out of the coal hole and knocked about like a wiping top, before being sent bruised and bleeding to his bed among the coffins. Only did rage give way to sorrow. Only then did the full mystery of his life grind down on him like a milestone. Only then did he allow himself to cry. Oliver lay on his mattress under the shop counter and waited for night to crawl by. Before dawn, he got up, tied his few belongings into a bundle, and slipped out of the shop door. The street was silent. Never before had the winter stars seemed such a long way from the earth. Hurrying as fast as his aching bones would let him, Oliver left town. Dodging from hedge to hedge, from ditch to ditch, he kept out of sight of all morning, for fear they might come after him. Hunting the runaway apprentice, noon found him sitting on a milestone by the roadside, wondering for the first time where he was going. He had just 1 penny, 2 pairs of socks, and a crust of bread. How far can a boy hope to get on those? Looking down at his stony seat, he read, "London, 70 miles. London! It was a place so far that even Mr. Sowerberry and Mr. Bumble had never been. And yet everyone talked of London. Huge and legendary and full of possibilities. A coach rattled by, but Oliver had no money for coaches. If he was going to go to London, he would have to walk every step of the way. Oliver walked. He slept in haystacks. He begged water at cottage doors. He spent his penny on a loaf, but in a day it was gone. Hunger was his constant companion. It stuck close like a big, loyal, vicious dog. But at the edge of every village, notices threatened him with arrest if he dared ask anyone for a bite to eat. 70 miles. In muddy farmyards, farmers threatened to set the dogs on him. Passengers leaned out of stagecoach windows and teased him with coins, but never let the coins fall. Oliver thought he must surely drop down and die of hunger and exhaustion like his mother before him. Villages gave way to towns, the towns that cluster around London like lambs around the sheep. In the market town of Barnet, Oliver sat down to rest on a doorstep, his cut feet clogged with bloody dust, his stomach empty. Passers-by stared or stepped round him, but Oliver was too weary to even see them. After time, he became dimly aware of a boy on the other side of the road, watching him, sizing him up. Oliver closed his eyes. "Watcher, my dear," said a voice. What's doing? The boy had crossed the street and was standing in front of Oliver now, his hands on his hips. He wore a man's coat, which reached down to his ankles, and he had folded the sleeves right back to let his hands see the daylight. There was a hat balanced on the very corner of his head. Every time it threatened to slip off, the boy twitched it back into place with a jerk of his head. He had sharp, dark eyes and a grin like April Fool's Day. "Pleased to meet you. How's things, my dear? Running away from the law, is ya? Ain't we all? Fancy a bite to eat and a glass of something warming? Dare say you're looking for somewhere to sleep tonight. I know the place." He reached out his hand. "Jack Dawkins is the name, though some call me the Artful Dodger." And that is the end of chapter 3. And we'll continue our story tomorrow with chapter 4, which is titled "In Which Oliver Meets Fagin and His Wipe Swipers." Okay, tune in tomorrow. I'll see you all then. Take care.